you. This isn't me, I'm not happy. Can you feel it too? How long should I drag this on? Waiting around for what's already gone. I don't know what to believe in.
We're here with Stef Lang from Canada. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
And you've been actually pretty busy recording in the studio lately.
Yes, I have. Yeah, I'm actually in the studio this week, and last week I've been doing some co-writing with a production company here in Vancouver named Hip Joint Productions. And I'm in production today and tomorrow, so we're just wrapping up a new single.
Now, are you working on an EP or are you working on a full-length album release?
I'm shooting for an EP, but I do have quite a bit of new material, so it's going to be kind of hard for me to choose which songs to choose from. But I'm going for an EP, probably about 4 or 5 songs.
Okay, what's your theory basically on releasing songs? Because I know you had 2 EP releases, and then you did your full-length release last year, the Underdog.
Yep.
What's your theory on releasing albums? Do you believe in releasing EPs and then singles, or how do you like to do it?
As a music fan, I still really love listening to full albums, and in my brain, that's how I normally would like to put out music. However, because the music industry is changing so quickly, I'm always writing all the time, so I have new material. So I'm sort of entertaining a new thought of releasing more EPs, shorter albums, more EPs on a more frequent basis. So, and I think that's cool. And like, there really are no rules with how you release your music anymore. There are no rules. You can do whatever you want. So I think I'm gonna be ending up building a model for myself where I can always release new music, whether it's every 4 months or every 6 months, or if I want to do a full length, you know, at the end of the year, or just do a single. You know, artists do that as well. They may or may not put out a record; they just put out a single. So, yeah, I'm experimenting with my layout as it stands.
Now, how would you? I've tried to describe your music, especially like on your full length. How would you describe your sound? Because most of what I put up is rock, but your sound kind of fits into various genres. How would you describe your music to somebody who's never heard it before?
Yes. Well, off the previous records or what I'm working on now?
Well, let's start with your full length that was released last year, the Underdog. How would you describe that to somebody?
Sure. Yeah, the Underdog had a lot of different elements to it and a lot of different topics in terms of what the songs and the lyrics were about. And part of our struggle with releasing that record was because it did touch on various genres. But it's ironic because it ended up getting nominated for Pop Recording of the Year. So I mean, it is in the pop genre, it is in the pop vein, but it does have elements of rock to it. It does have elements of folk, and you know, I did a song with Ray Black. He's a rapper. We did sort of a hip hop track together. So, and the stuff I'm working on now, it's the one word that I've discovered that sums it up is it's a fusion. You know, I play guitar. Guitar is my main instrument, so having the element of acoustics is number one, the most organic part of the equation of my sound. But I'm also experimenting with loops that I write my music over top of that are more beat driven, that have a hip hop feel to it or a rock feel to it. So it's a fusion of 2 different genres, or you know, 3 different genres, but it ends up being in the pop genre, I think, anyway.
I'm gonna do like a little bit of a breakdown of the album that was released last year. Song 1, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It kind of has almost a country feel to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a country kind of vibe to it. Maybe the only one that has that specific vibe. Were you going for that, or was that something that just kind of happened when you were writing the song?
No, I wasn't going for that. I think it just kind of evolved into its own thing. I did know that song needed to be simple, and when I was on tour, I would perform that song with as a trio with my violin player and my guitar player. So we just laid it down the way that we normally play it. And in my mind, that's more of the more folky songs that I have on that record. But no, I don't think I was trying to go for that sound. I just knew that it needed to be simple in production, and that's how it came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I noticed there's a lot of themes on the record, like you mentioned. And a lot of them go together, like songs 2 and 3. Like the Phoenix, they're kind of like both of these songs. Well, actually, 2, 3, and 4 kind of bend a little. It's kind of like uplifting songs, kind of like inspirational songs. And I noticed 5 and 6, Mr. Immature, which you've had a video for, and also Slave to Love. These are kind of angry songs. This is kind of like an edgier Stef Lang here. So somebody pissed you off for these 2 songs. You don't have to name names, but if you want to talk a little bit about...
It's cool. Yeah. Well, the interesting thing about that record was that, it did showcase a lot of different sounds of mine, but it also showcased the 2 main things that I love to write about and that are the most prominent forces in my life and the most prominent forces of inspiration is love and relationships. You know, I've been through a string of boyfriends and, misfortunate, encounters with men, and I'm also, as you can tell, very passionate about music and following my dreams, and that's just such a huge part of me. So that record really emphasized both sides of those things of me. So and putting the track listing together, I had to sit and think about which ones would go together, which ones sit well together. How do you digest listening to the album when you hit play and you listen to it all the way through? So I don't know, what are you asking me? Are you asking me what the deal was with this guy, or?
Oh no, I'm not asking for specifics. No, I'm not asking for specifics. No, I just you can tell that was a very when you got to those tracks, that was a very edgier Stef Lang. That was a kind of a mad Stef Lang. So how hard is it to be in your position? Because obviously you're passionate about what you do and your music. How hard is it though to balance a relationship and with somebody and make them understand that you're trying for something and that's important to you?
It's very difficult because I try not to get into relationships within my own industry, especially with other artists, because chances are I end up working with them, and that just creates a weird dynamic. But so there's that. Like I try to keep my work and my love life separate, but at the same time, it's really hard for me to be in a relationship with someone that does not understand what I do. So that's important to me too. And if the person doesn't get what I do, that I'm in the studio late hours, I'm up late at night writing music, I go out on tour for months at a time, like it's not something that's a conventional lifestyle, so it is hard to find somebody that can understand that.
Okay. Song number 7, well, Closet Freak, I don't think we need to talk about that one at all. That's probably that's for the adults, that's self-explanatory.
All right.
Let's talk a little bit about number 10, Straight Jacket, which is the song that I came across, the first song I ever heard from you, actually. And it was kind of like it has a kind of an alternative rock feel to it. While at the same time, it's like, you can tell it's an emotionally charged song. Can you talk about what that song is about?
Sure. I was getting out of a relationship at the time, and I was sort of afraid to walk away. And that straitjacket, that whole concept of being stuck in a straitjacket was just something that popped into my head, and I wrote that super late at night, and it was one of those songs that just fell out of me. I didn't really have to think about it. It just kind of came out as a conversation to myself late at night. And it's cool because I wrote that right in the middle of getting out of that relationship, so it was very raw with the real emotion that I was in at that time. And when I was producing it, I found a loop that I really liked on Logic, and I laid it down over top. I had so much fun recording that song. Like I recorded the snaps and the claps and the guitar parts and the vocals, and again, like that one's very simple too. Like it's got a cool sound, but there's not a lot of tracks in that song. Like there's some strings, guitar, and a beat. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Now your song Diamonds.
Yeah, it was a fun.
Your song Diamonds, you actually had that put on the MTV show Degrassi, correct?
Yes. Yes.
How was the reception to that?
Street Jacket was on Degrassi.
How was the reception to that?
It was great. Diamonds was put on, I believe it was the last episode for that season, and it was during a very emotional scene, and I got tons of views on Diamonds on YouTube afterwards, and I was getting a lot of new fans from the States. You know, obviously I'm from Canada, so my market here, you know, I'm more well known here than I am in the States. But I've been touching base with a lot of young girls across America, across the States, and they're from all over. You know, and I'm very big on social media, and I do my very best to find these people that are doing covers or talking about it on Twitter or Facebook, and I reach out to them and I say, hey, you know, like, how did you find out about the music? I just try and start a dialogue with my fans as often as possible, because that means a lot to me. So the reaction was great. Like, I got to talk to more fans.
On the other side of that, I've talked to a lot of artists, and you have the videos out there, you have the albums, you have the EPs, you have some of the MTV exposure. How frustrating is it trying to get your music heard to such a large audience when there's so much stuff out there trying to get your music heard?
Right. It's very frustrating. But on the flip side, it's like we live in the most interesting time to be alive in the music industry. Look at all the things that are available to us right now. Anybody can sit down and record music and put it up on SoundCloud or Facebook or any sort of social media. So it's easy. On one hand, it's very, very easy to put your music out, available to the world. That is not a question. It's what the frustrating part is, getting your music to stand out. That is the hard part. So getting people to hear it, you know, not an issue. But getting your music to stand out, I think you have to go beyond just the music. You have to, like I said, you got to talk to your fans. You got to build your fans one at a time. You got to play a million shows. You just have to work a lot harder than you used to, you know.
Now, when I look at the credits for the album, a lot of people that are involved in the pop industry, they're handed a song, and they say, sing it. And they go out and they sing somebody else's song. I looked at the credits for your album. Here's the credits for your album on some of these. Vocals, of course, Stef Lang. Some producing, Stef Lang. Acoustic guitar, Stef Lang. Piano, Stef Lang. Drum and synth programming, Stef Lang. So these, when you're listening to a Stef Lang album, you're listening to something that you really created, with some help, but something that you've created. Yeah, of course. I'm proud of doing that, and not just that, but I need to do that, because I think that the more you can do for yourself as a songwriter or a producer or with your own sound, the better you are with your own vision. The way, just learning how to record your music and work on Logic, for example, is like so good for me to be able to express my vision musically, right? When I didn't know how to do that, I would have to rely solely on another producer to say, hey, I want it to sound like this, and then essentially, I don't want to say be helpless, but you know, have to rely on them to make that vision to come to life, right? So yeah, you know, I enjoy doing it though. Like, I enjoy building the tracks myself and building the loops and doing the strings and experimenting with different sounds. But I work with Hip Joint Productions as well, and they're amazing. Like, they're so amazing. So I learn a lot from them, and they also help me out whenever possible. So it's cool. Now, how far have you gone as far as touring wise?
I did a cross Canada tour. I've done a few shows in the States. I've done some showcases in New York and Seattle, some stuff in the Midwest. But yeah, I did a cross Canada tour. I did a Western Canada tour. A few years back, I did an LA tour for about a month, and that's what I'm going to get into in the springtime. Do another cross Canada tour, and I'm actually. I have a map. You can't see this but I have a map as my backdrop on my laptop with circles around all the major cities in the States that I want to hit. So yeah, that's a big part of my plan.
Well, hopefully Florida is one of them.
Florida, there's
future.
3 places in Florida. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So when can we expect this tour to kick off? Hopefully the next one.
Fingers crossed, end of March. So I'll be dropping a record around that time, and I'll be touring right out of the gate once it's out. So I'll be doing Canada for about a month, probably about 30 cities. It'll actually be a little more than a month, and then I'll start oozing my way across the border.
Now you've got 2 singles out on iTunes right now. After your full length, you've got "What You Gonna Do" and "Burn All Your Ships."
Yeah.
And are those going to be part of another album or EP, or is those just standalone?
As of right now, those are standalone. There's a potential that one of them might be on the EP as well, but as of now, they're just standalones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you for doing the interview.
No worries.
I want to tell everybody to go pick up those 2 singles. They're on iTunes right now. You can buy them everywhere. Amazon. You're on Amazon too. Yeah. I'm assuming everywhere that you can buy singles. And your latest full length, which came out last year, The Underdog.
Yeah.
Fantastic album from start to finish.
Thank you.
Every song is great. I just recommend everybody to pick it up. And on a side note, I just like to tell everybody how easy it was to work with you, because this is the second interview. I've done a written interview with you before.
Yes.
And you're probably one of the most down-to-earth, cooperative people, artists that I've ever worked with. So I just wanted to let people know what kind of a class act you were and how great your music was. And I hope that after your new music comes out, we can talk to you again.
Awesome. Yes, absolutely. Call me anytime. Find me on Facebook, all that jazz.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to say on closing notes?
No, I think I just want everybody to know that I'm, like you said, I'm very approachable, and if you want to, hang out with me on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that, I'll always respond to people that are listening to the music and that are fans. So. Okay, well, thanks so much. It's been Stef Lang. Go check out her music and go buy it. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thank you.